What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another video. So, since I hit 100 yesterday, woo go me, I felt like it was finally time to put out an updated Blight video. What I've got going on, how I'm building, what I'm taking, why I'm taking the things I'm taking, and maybe just like a general how-to, like how to play the build. It is a super fun build, and it's definitely a great alternative to the normal standard bone spear build. Hopefully we'll see a good minion build here in the near future. Thankfully, the developers did say that they were going to work on the Necromancer minions, so that'd be great to see like a good general viable minion build. But for the meantime, the Blight build is here. It's super fun. It's even in a group, especially in a group, especially in a group, it's a ton of fun. So we're gonna give that a breakdown and go over everything. The video that you're watching right now, this is actually without the Black River. I have gotten a couple messages asking if the Black River was necessary. No, the Black River is not necessary. It does help a lot though, because instead of having to spam the 1 key to send all of your minions running, the Black River will take up to 5 corpses in one go and send them off running at somebody to blow up. That's a good thing because it keeps that stack of miasma as high as possible, which is going to give you an overall higher dot tick. So I just wanted to show that it was possible to do it without the Black River. But let's go ahead and move forward and see what else we got for you. Let's look at our skills here. You're going to want to run Decompose, Blight, Corpse Tendrils, Corpse Explosion, Bone Storm, and Blood Mist. Now you're taking Decompose for a few reasons here. One, it's going to give you 10 essence back every time something dies as long as you're channeling it. And you're going to do 10x damage to whatever enemy you're channeling it on. Now, it works really well with the aspect here, Aspect of Might, because as you're channeling it, you're going to get 20% damage reduction for X seconds, whatever you get on the roll, right? So you're basically weaving Decompose in and out throughout the fight. You're spamming Blight, you're going to let your Howl from below pop your minions on the ground, and that's going to put your miasma everywhere. And you're channeling Decompose, and this stuff's dying, you're getting all your essence back, and that works really well with the Edge Masters, where you're going to gain increased damage based on your primary resource. So it's a really good flow for everything. It keeps your essence up really high, it helps you with your damage reduction, and it helps you deal more damage. It's a really good overall flow. For our gems, we're going to take Amethyst in the weapons for the damage over time, rubies in your armor for your max life. You're going to take your Creeping Death as the Wrathful. You're going to want to do that extra damage over time for each different crowd control effect on the target, which miasma slows, your Corpse Tendril stun. You've got a lot of different things that you're crowd controlling with along the way. Or not miasma, Blight slows. So Blight will slow, Corpse Tendril stun. You've got a lot of different effects going on. Sacrilegious. Real quick edit here. I didn't explain very well what Sacrilegious does. It is the heart and soul of this build. It is what's going to automatically cast your Corpse Tendrils and Corpse Explosion as you walk by it once per second. So it is truly the heart and soul of this build. This is what makes the build come together. And then Revenge, because that's a lot of damage suppressed. Coming down to your Book of the Dead, 10% shadow damage, sacrifice for the vulnerable, and attack speed. We'll start back up here at the aspects. So on your helm, I have Aspect of Disobedience. You're constantly doing damage, so you keep your armor all the way up for the whole time, or most of it anyway. This one right here is absolutely amazing. Now, I like the heal per second over the barrier generation, or the barrier from elites. And I like it because when you're in the fight and you're near stuff, you're constantly healing. Okay. And because I have so much, all my gear is statted for damage to close, damage reduction from close. So I'm trying the best I can to get as much damage to close and damage reduction from close as I can. So healing from close enemies works really well for me as well. There are a ton of different ways that you can make this build come together. Keep that in mind. This is just what works for me. This is what I am having fun with. Howl from Below is just like Sacrilegious. It's what makes the build what it is. So that is a necessity. Howl from Below does drop a lot. It is a unique, so it's not like an every run type thing, but farm, and you will eventually see it drop. Black River will take you probably a little bit longer to farm, so it's not necessary, but Howl from Below is what makes it so fun, because it's what takes that corpse that's on the ground, and it's what makes that corpse go running towards the enemy and drops that stack of miasma right underneath them. Aspect of the Might here, this is where it works, like I said, with Decompose. As you're weaving Decompose, you're getting that 20% damage reduction, so it's all about the damage reduction. Because resistances don't work, you need as much damage reduction in armor as you can get. Aspect of the Void, this is just fun. As you're casting it, as you're throwing your blight towards the enemies, it's pulling them into the center of the blight. So it's a wonderful additional crowd control. Because when you're throwing it at them, it's pulling them back in, so they're not able to do damage while that's going on, right? So you can weave it in and out, and the other reason I'm going for damage reduction from close and damage to close is because this will actually over time pull all the enemies towards you. Black River, again, like I said, not necessary, but Black River helps because it consumes up to 4 additional corpses around the initial corpse, dealing all the additional damage and giving you a larger radius for the miasma. Now, I put the blighted aspect on my amulet here, and where is it? There it is, right there. Aspect of Decay on the ring. I went with the blighted aspect here because if you can somehow magically get that 180% roll, oh my god, that's so much damage. I have yet to see that. I would love to see it, but it's just huge for that key passive, that Shadow Blight key passive. Grasping Veins is great. You're gonna just deal more damage to them overall. It's gonna increase that crit strike chance. Now, dots can't crit, right? But I am almost positive that Shadow Blight passive can. I'm almost positive that Shadow Blight passive can crit. Aspect of Decay here. Each time Shadow Blight key passive deals damage, yada yada yada. Throw that one on the ring, and we went over this one. So this is gonna be. These are the aspects that I am running. I can show you all my gear. It matches this identically. So for the skill tree, I don't know if there's anything. I'm very excited for them to fix and perfectly balance in the upcoming patch. Blight, I went 5 of 5 on Blight. Hued Corpse or Hued Flesh is an absolute must for this build. More flesh, more damage. I tried to get as many points into Corpse Explosion as I could. I am currently messing around with trying to find. I have a pair of pants that has +4 on it for the Corpse Explosion. I'm trying to see if it really makes that much of a difference to put it on the legs, but I don't think it's going to in the end. I don't think there's anything here that needs an explanation as to why. I did put this point here because, again, I really think that Shadow Blight key passive, this right here, can crit. All right, moving into the Paragon board here, we do have control in the first board. We have Scourge, Sword, I don't know, say however you want. And the second one, Sacrificial in the third board, Exploit in the fourth, and finally we're finishing it off with Territorial. I went with Territorial because it ends up being almost an extra 70% increased damage to close, and then you get an additional 10% damage reduction from close. And since everything I'm doing is basically for close enemies, this is the one that I wanted to go with. As far as boards go, if you're still leveling, my suggestion is starting, your starting board, obviously. Wither being your second board, moving over to Sacrificial or Flesh Eater on this one is your third board, and then coming up and moving up and over to finish it all up. This is the final board you'll finish. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are the order that you're going to want to do them in. I think that makes the most sense as leveling. It really worked for me. This board right here is really important. There are some changes to Wither that's coming up, I believe, in about a week with patch 1.1.1. I don't know, whatever patch it's going to be. They're going to change this from an increased 2.5% for each 50 willpower to, I believe, 4% for each 40 willpower. It's getting a big buff, so it's going to give you a lot more shadow damage over time. So it's going to be a very important node to have. So the earlier you get it, the better if you're still working on that portion. This board is also going to give you a lot of extra damage to elites, more damage over time. I don't think anything else needs an explanation as to why I took it. It should be pretty forthcoming. I did end up over here just for the extra essence because we're running the Edge Masters. So the more that you have, the higher that you stay, the better off. Let's go ahead and move into the how, like the why and the how to play the build here. So what I did was I went through and I cut and edit some footage, and it's going to kind of show you the highlights of how to play the build, as well as there's some slow motion moments that are going to show you, what this build is capable of hitting once you stack your Shadow Blight passive, once you get a bunch of miasma on the ground. The whole goal here is, I believe, like I've said, is just to keep moving. If you can drag mobs from one pack to another, keep that Shadow Blight up, and then if you can get them in the miasma, you're going to start hitting for millions. I don't hit as hard as I did before because I had to replace so many offensive stats with defensive stats to survive the higher levels. But if you're just going for big numbers, all you need to do is roll all your offensive stats on your chest, your legs, your gloves, your boots, whatever gear that you have that, I say gloves, but if you don't have the howl, roll it on the gloves. Obviously you really want to try to get the howl from below for your gloves. But these numbers right here, these numbers are with me rocking as many defensive stats as I can, with the exception of the 2 rings and the amulet in my offhand, main hand as well. But I mean, if you wanted to, you could put, a shield or something on your offhand. I don't really know one that'll work. I got the lidless wall to drop the other day. I have not had a chance to try it out yet. But I mean, your whole goal is just to get into the fight, jump from one pack to the next. You're probably gonna have to jump through them to pull the second pack in together. And you just want to try to stack the packs together. You want to try to get as much on top of that miasma as possible. As you can see right there, you just keep throwing blight at them and it just keeps stacking them and moving them around. So they're not even swinging at you because you've got them crowd control the whole time. At the end of the day, this build is just about getting into the fight, pulling as many of those mobs together as you can, stacking them all on the miasma, getting as many stacks of miasma up at the same time as possible, which is where the Black River comes into play if you can get it to drop. If not, you know, just keep spamming your corpse explosion, get that miasma stacked up, and get as many mobs into the miasma as you can. You know, the fact that you're constantly casting corpse tendrils is huge. It pulls them in for you, and it still gives you the corpse tendrils to cast on your own when you're ready to cast it. In summary, it's a super fun build. It's an alternative to Bone Spear. You know, it's an alternative to the minions that are, in my personal opinion, still kind of broken. It's a lot of fun. You know, just get in there, throw some blight around, smack some mobs around, watch them dance, and just, you know, have fun. I mean, if you've got a group to run with, this is super fun in a group as well. You get just blight and miasma everywhere, and there are numbers all over the place, kind of like this in a solo. You know, but again, I mean, I don't really know what else to say. I hope I haven't left anything out of this build or the build guide video. I wish I could tell you what I thought the max level that you could push with this build was going to be, but I think that's entirely dependent on how good of defensive rolls you can get and how quick you are on that evade button. If you can dodge all the things, if you can get out of the way of all the things, you know, and you're really good at kiting, I think you could probably complete 90s. You know, it's a good build. It's a lot of fun, and I hope everybody that decides to play it switches to it, or, you know, enjoys it if you play it. But thanks for watching, everybody. Y'all have a good afternoon. Take care, and we'll see you on the next one.